Another cold front sweeping in from offshore, heading into our weekend forecast. I'm advancing the clock all the way into Friday, which is partly cloudy skies in the forecast. Saturday, the clouds become more dense, and by Saturday evening into the early morning hours on Sunday, we get that batch of showers that will sweep in from offshore with on and off showers expected throughout Sunday afternoon. Now, we could also see some snow in the Sierra too from this exact same system, so keep that in mind if you're planning on heading up there that way. Make sure you have the chains ready to go, and of course, you're just taking it slow out there on the roads. Now, we still have unsettled weather from Monday until next Wednesday in the forecast, too. That matches up with what the Climate Prediction Center is showing, with wetter than normal conditions throughout the next 6 to 10 days. Now, this leads us into the first couple days and weeks of March. And as we take a look at the next 7 days right here behind me, notice that big shift in the forecast. We're still dealing with above average temperatures today and tomorrow, but it drops quickly into the 60s and upper 50s by Saturday, heading into Sunday, with on and off showers expected still as we head into next week, too. Now, you head over into the Bay, we're seeing a very similar trend anywhere from San Francisco over into the East Bay. We're going to be seeing daytime highs sit in the mid 70s, quickly turning into cooler conditions by next week.
The Alameda County Fairgrounds in Pleasanton is one of the oldest horse racing tracks in the country. And like so many other racetracks, it is in danger of shutting down. That's not just impacting the people who work there, but people who live there as well. As Katie Nielsen explains, one group of racehorse owners is stepping up with a last-ditch effort to save the track.
My finger's just a cookie.
Monty Meyer spent his entire life on the backside of the racetrack.
I started when I was 14 years old. My brother was a jockey, and I went to the track. I'm going to be 67, 2nd of April.
It's hard for him to hold back his emotions as he talks about the possibility of the racetrack closing at the Alameda County Fairgrounds. The California Authority of Racing Fairs, a governing body that organizes races in Northern California, decided to end horse racing in Pleasanton after facing financial difficulties last fall. With the closure, hundreds of workers will be out of jobs. But the bigger issue is many will also be without housing, since hundreds of the people who work with the horses also live at the racetrack and are generally very low income.
They don't know what we're going to do now. They don't know where we're going to end up and stuff. They're scared.
But that's where George Schmidt comes in.
He's beat me and I beat him.
You betcha.
George owns more than 75 racehorses in California, and he, along with John Harris of Harris Ranch, who's another big owner, have come together and offered to put up $2 million to pay for operations to keep the track open.
We love the game. We think it should continue. We think people love the game. There's also hundreds of people that work here. And in the middle of the school year is not a good time to tell those that have families that you got to get out of here.
The group has also gotten the support of local lawmakers.
It's not just about horse racing, it's about people's livelihood, and it's about our culture, and it's about 120 years of horse racing that have happened here at the fairgrounds, and we want to keep that going.
It's also economically a driver that allows everything else that happens at the fair to happen. So it is disappointing that we could lose this. I actually had worked to support to expand horse racing at Alameda County to year-round.
For those on the backside like Monty, they're just hoping for a miracle.
It's hard for me, guys. I just never thought things would end like this.
There are still meetings happening this week to discuss that last-ditch effort to save the track. If it doesn't work, everything will close down on March 25th.
And there is another issue. If the County Fair Board were to extend racing, they have to address water runoff issues. We reached out to the Regional Water Quality Control Board, but a spokesperson said no comment at this time. More than 100 employees at Oakland Unified are going to be getting layoff notices. In a 6-1 vote, the school board said they had no choice because of the budget crisis they're dealing with. That is a $95 million budget deficit for the district and a ticking clock to finalize that budget by June. One teacher told us her job is in jeopardy, and so are her students' futures.
Really disrupts the stability that we are trying to maintain as a school. So 25% of our students have disabilities, and it takes our whole school community to meet the needs of our students.
She is just one of hundreds of Oakland teachers right now in limbo and waiting. We're going to continue to follow that. Seems like there is a new outlook on the future of San Francisco in the meantime. The annual City Beat poll found increased optimism amongst people who live in the city. Of course, still dealing with challenges from homelessness to drugs and property crime, but it appears at least that public perception is starting to shift. And while some people are optimistic on where the city is heading, Kelsey Thorud reports there's still one glaring issue that needs to be addressed.
More San Franciscans believe the city is now heading in the right direction. That's according to poll results released by the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce.
The Chamber's been doing this poll, asking the same questions for 36 consecutive years. This year, they are actually trending to the positive. And so for 2 years in a row, we're starting to see people see favorability and the belief in the trust in San Francisco.
Rodney Fong is the president and CEO of the Chamber. He says the polling shows 43% of San Franciscans believe the city is on the right track. That's up close to double from last year, when only 22% of residents had the same feeling.
This voter confidence in these polls coming back. We're seeing small businesses open here in San Francisco, and the nightlife is starting to pick back up.
A huge focus for those polled remains on downtown. 89% of San Franciscans agreed that a thriving downtown is critical to the region's economy, with 87% saying improving or transforming underused malls and stores should be a top priority.
I feel pretty optimistic about this area, and Market Street looks amazing. I feel safer now walking down Market Street.
I think a lot of people are trying to move things in the right direction, but we have a ways to go for consistency, I think, across the city.
I would say a bunch of the return to office mandates have helped, just kind of like to make things more lively. But yeah, I think it's still not where it was in 2019.
While the numbers are looking up, the fact remains that a majority of San Franciscans, 56%, still believe the city is on the wrong track. Rodney Fong says he understands the lingering frustration with the city's recovery post-COVID, but truly believes a brighter future is on the horizon.
It's this whole cycle, this whole ecosystem is so important to keep them going. Built the construction of housing, the transportation investments all need to keep firing. And once we get off kilter, off cycle, tough things can happen. And so we have to make sure we're thinking 10 years out and keeping the machine going.
The poll also highlighted voters' support of downtown's revitalization, from new businesses to arts, culture, and entertainment events. 83% of San Franciscans agree that investment in downtown is a priority. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, a brand new subway system in San Francisco shut down for the next 2 weeks because of constant water leaks. But some say the problems don't end there.
It's hurting our business in Chinatown, also hurting our image in Chinatown.
Plus, how candidates for Oakland mayor are hoping to win over voters and lead the city to a brighter future. And we'll introduce you to a San Francisco native and rising star who's taking center stage in the city's first ever Music Week.
still have more unsettled weather in the forecast as we head into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, too. It'll start to taper off as we head into late next week, but this does lead up into the next 6 to 10 days. Our rainfall outlook issued by the Climate Prediction Center highlights the whole West Coast with wetter than normal conditions forecasted for us. So as we take a look at the next 7 days, this paints the picture pretty well. I mean, above average conditions today, cool conditions into this weekend, and those rain clouds start to roll in from offshore Saturday evening into Sunday morning. As we head into next week, Monday and Tuesday will look very similar with on and off showers expected. I'll keep you updated with those rainfall totals, but for now, I'm going to send it over to you.
It has been just over 2 years since San Francisco's Central Subway Tunnel opened to the public, connecting SoMa to Chinatown. And now Muni is having to shut it down temporarily to fix a water leak. Kenny Choi explains what businesses in Chinatown are concerned about during the closure and after.
Ed Su hears from residents and businesses in Chinatown about problems impacting everyday commutes. It's not just the water leaks they're concerned about.
I'm supposed to have 2 elevators, but only one is working all the time. The other one is broken.
Su is chairman of the Chinatown Merchants United Association.
You got to take the elevator, you have to go all the way down to these broken elevators to hit the button.
Since the Central Subway opened in 2023, he says service disruptions from ongoing water leaks, which SFMTA tried and failed to address last year, have negatively impacted ridership and local business. But Su believes the water leaks are just part of a larger problem, including malfunctioning elevators and escalators, which take riders to the subway platform more than 100 feet below street level.
After they shut down this one, can they fix everything at once?
He understands SFMTA prioritizing addressing the water leaks for safety reasons. But Su, a longtime business owner, believes better service, including fully functioning elevators, will lead to more ridership and boost business. Kwok Kung Lao rides the Central Subway 4 to 5 times a week to get to Chinatown.
Easier for him, and he don't need to driving to Chinatown. It's hard to find a parking space.
Daily weekday ridership for the T3rd route averaged about 18,400 in 2024, far below the 43,000 riders SFMTA expects by 2030.
Because of less people.
He likes that.
Yeah, he likes that, yeah.
Lao says he likes his commute because there's plenty of seats and room. Su, however, wants to see packed trains for merchants in Chinatown and fewer service disruptions because of water leaks.
Is it a permanent fix, or is this going to be something that is going to be revisited quite often?
Yeah, we really hope to nail this down and have a complete fix.
Erica Cato is a spokesperson for SFMTA. The agency has budgeted $7 million to fix the leaks.
Because Central Subway sits below the water table, there's always going to be saturation with all of the soil and rock that are underneath in the tunnel. So there will always be some amount of water in the tunnel, but there was a little more than we're comfortable with. And because it was causing damage, that's why we're addressing this problem now.
Su wants SFMTA to do more, but the transit system is facing a $50 million budget shortfall.
Because it's hurting our business in Chinatown, also hurting our image in Chinatown.
For now, he's hoping this fix is just the start to make Chinatown an easier place to access and explore for merchants and residents.
So, for the next 2 weeks, SFMTA is running a bus shuttle between the Chinatown, Rosepac, and 4th and Brannan Street stations. Muni is also going to reroute the T Metro line into the Market Street subway tunnel to carry people from downtown to the Caltrain station at 4th Street. It is official. A special election is happening on the peninsula that could decide a sheriff's future. On March 4th, voters in San Mateo County will decide if they want to give county supervisors the power to remove the sheriff from office. Yesterday, a Superior Court judge rejected Sheriff Christina Corpus's request for an injunction to stop the vote. Back in January, her legal team filed a government claim against San Mateo County seeking $10 million in damages. Sheriff Corpus has been facing calls to resign as she faces accusations, including racism and bullying accusations she denies. The city of Oakland is entering a new era as voters are soon going to decide on who will be their next mayor. Last night, 7 candidates shared their visions for this city, hoping to win over those voters. Our Andrea Nakano was there.
with the time.
Well, I'll start with the fact.
Lisa Orta and Siggy Arnejo have called Oakland home for decades. Orta is a former high school teacher and has seen her city go through its challenges.
In my experience in the town, it's been a bumpy ride.
The recent stop on the bumpy ride has brought about concerns for public safety and how the city is going to fund essential services. For these two, the choice is really between two candidates.
I want to know if they've got solid plans for my city that I think is really hurting and needs some strong leadership.
It's just a mess right now. We need somebody that's going to be, kick them to the curb kind of people.
The candidates at the forum addressed issues from public safety to homelessness.
And I've been so proud to be able to brought in billions of dollars for housing, for public safety, for infrastructure. But I also know that Oakland now is at a crossroads and we need experienced leadership to guide us forward.
And there were even verbal jabs thrown from the start.
It is time that we stand up against the special interests that supported former Mayor Shane Tao, the same ones that recruited our Congresswoman Lee to run. I am standing up against them because Oakland needs independent leadership that will make the firm decisions that are hard and necessary choices.
Some of the residents say they still want to see concrete plans on how the candidates plan to move the city forward with a $129 million budget deficit this year. Orta knows it's going to be tough, but she has hope that the town will turn things around.
What we have left in Oakland is a lot of strength of character, a lot of creativity, a lot of innovation, a lot of potential. And I just haven't seen the strong leadership that we need.
It's going to be an interesting race. The mayoral special election is going to be held on April 15th. Still ahead, she was born into a family of San Francisco musicians, but now Ladonia is building her own following. We ask her what makes her so proud to represent her hometown.
I think that it's very different from other places where you might find a more robust music industry, just because we're used to really supporting each other and uplifting each other.
once we head into the next couple days, we're seeing a very big shift in the forecast. Temperatures are going to drop right back down to the 50s and 60s heading into this weekend as a new cold front moves in from offshore. Friday will just be partly cloudy. Once we head into our Saturday and Sunday forecast, that's when we start to see rain move in from offshore just along the bay, pushing its way inland up into the Sierra too. And at that exact same time, we see unsettled weather into Sunday and Monday's forecast and lasting into mid-next week. So on and off showers are forecasted for us throughout this weekend, early next week too, and that matches up with what the Climate Prediction Center has to say, showing wetter than normal conditions for the next 6 to 10 days. I'm going to drop the map real fast and show you the next couple days. Notice how our mid-70s quickly turn into upper 50s as early as Saturday for us here in the Bay Area. We're talking about San Francisco and Oakland as good examples of that. Low 60s will return back and forth. They're kind of flirting back and forth with each other heading into next Tuesday and Wednesday, and you make your way all the way into our inland spots, we're seeing a very similar trend. So 2 big weather stories for us right now. Warm, above average, at least right now, and then once we head into this weekend, cool, cloudy, and wet. And that lingers into next week's forecast. So we're going to keep you updated with those rainfall totals as we get closer to next week. The rain looks like it's going to start as early as Saturday night, so I'll have more on that just in a bit.
San Francisco highlighting the local music industry in a special way. Music Week. It was created to support local artists and try to boost the economy with a few big events. One of the artists featured at this Friday's Industry Summit has roots that run deep in the Bay Area. Her name is LaDonia. She is a singer, songwriter, music teacher, and activist. LaDonia was born in San Francisco's Bernal Heights and grew up in the Mission. She started playing music with her family's band when she was 7 years old. Their unique sound is a blend of music from different regions of Latin America. LaDonia tells our Lorene Ayub why the Bay Area music scene is so unique.
For some artists, music is simply in the blood. And that is the case for LaDonia. A Chicana musician from the Mission, she says the Bay's music scene is unique in itself.
I think that it's very different from other places where you might find a more robust music industry, just because we're used to really supporting each other and uplifting each other.
And that empowerment from her own community has allowed her star to rise. But she says the city as a whole has lacked sufficient infrastructure for artists to thrive. That's why she's thrilled to participate in SF Music Week.
I think that we deserve and we really should put energy and resources into creating those spaces.
By spaces, she means creative professionals gathering together to find more meaningful ways to collaborate. It's exactly what the mayor's office hopes to achieve through the initiative.
We continue our work to identify how to continue to support San Francisco's comeback and how to leverage our great arts and entertainment ecosystem that we have here. Doing a week to showcase San Francisco music business.
And artists like LaDonia are about their business. LaDonia says she has a consistent message she hopes to share throughout the week.
It's my priority to teach people that they can find themselves through music, not necessarily through fame, not necessarily through even being a professional musician, but just driving home the message that the most important relationships are relationship to self, relationship to craft, and relationship to community.
And that passionate relationship to community is what keeps artists like LaDonia singing.
LaDonia has performed at local festivals like the San Francisco Jazz Fest and Outside Lands. She was also included in former President Obama's annual summer playlist in 2023, which can really boost a musician's visibility. Some of the major events for Music Week include an industry summit that's going all day Friday at the Swedish American Hall on Market Street. Then on Saturday, it is Artist Development Day at Music City. Music Week also coincides with the Noise Pop Festival, which is happening at several venues. Coming up in the next half hour here on CBS News Bay Area, they are on the front lines in the fight against the bird flu. We'll hear from a poultry farmer trying to stay afloat in the North Bay, why she says their efforts to contain the outbreak can only go so far. Plus, new plans for this distinctive Bay Area mountain that's home to some rare species.
I was absolutely alarmed and just astonished how huge of operation they want to do.
The possible addition that has many conservationists concerned. I'm Ann Makovic, and this is The Minute. A big rig crash spilled fuel onto southbound 101 in Brisbane. It also knocked out power to Caltrain from San Francisco to South City. The crash happened near Sierra Point Parkway at around 5 a.m. Caltrain says northbound trains are ending at Millbrae. Southbound trains depart hourly. More than 100 jobs in Oakland's public school district will be cut under a plan approved in a 6-to-1 vote last night by the school board. The district faces a $95 million budget deficit. Layoff notices go out until March 15th. San Francisco police are offering a $250,000 reward to help track down a killer from a nearly decade-old double homicide. Police say he shot and killed 2 homeless people, Lindsay McCollum and Eddie Tate, at South Van Ness and 16th in 2016. I'm Ann Makovic with The Minute.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
It's another warm day for us here in the Bay Area with daytime highs today topping off in the 80s from Fremont all the way over into San Jose. Today, we're warming up into the upper 70s, anywhere from Redwood City all the way up into areas like Santa Rosa, too. Warm for us this afternoon, putting us about 10 to 15 degrees above average. But right around the corner, we cool down quick as we head into this weekend, back into the upper 50s and lower 60s. And here's the reason why. We have another cold front sweeping in from offshore, heading into our weekend forecast. I'm advancing the clock all the way into Friday, which is partly cloudy skies in the forecast. Saturday, the clouds become more dense, and by Saturday evening into the early morning hours on Sunday, Sunday, we get that batch of showers that will sweep in from offshore with on and off showers expected throughout Sunday afternoon. Now, we could also see some snow in the Sierra too from this exact same system, so keep that in mind if you're planning on heading up there that way. Make sure you have the chains ready to go, and of course, you're just taking it slow out there on the roads. Now, we still have unsettled weather from Monday until next Wednesday in the forecast too. That matches up with what the Climate Prediction Center is showing, with wetter than normal conditions throughout the next 6 to 10 days. Now, this leads us into the first couple days and weeks of March. And as we take a look at the next 7 days right here behind me, notice that big shift in the forecast. We're still dealing with above average temperatures today and tomorrow, but it drops quickly into the 60s and upper 50s by Saturday, heading into Sunday, with on and off showers expected still as we head into next week too. Now, you head over into the Bay, we're seeing a very similar trend anywhere from San Francisco over into the East Bay. We're going to be seeing daytime highs sit in the mid 70s, quickly turning into cooler conditions by next week.
It is a national crisis that is hitting one part of the Bay Area especially hard. You've probably been hearing a lot about eggs lately, specifically why they're so expensive, and a large part of that is the bird flu outbreak that has killed tens of millions of birds. Last month, the average price for a dozen eggs rose to a record $4.95. That is more than double the price from just 4 years ago, and the USDA predicts prices will jump another 41% this year. Egg shortages have prompted major grocery store chains like Trader Joe's and Costco to limit the amount of eggs you can buy. And some restaurants, from national chains to mom-and-pop diners, are adding special surcharges for egg dishes. And while you may have really noticed these impacts over the last few months, the bird flu has been decimating Bay Area poultry farms for more than 2 years. Nearly 24 million birds have been killed in California since 2022, when the first cases of bird flu were detected here in the U.S. The supply shortage has made things difficult for people who produce eggs in the North Bay. John Ramos went to one part of Sonoma County that's on the front lines of the bird flu fight.
Petaluma was once known as the egg basket of the world. That's changed over the years, mainly for economic reasons, but it's still an important industry here, and they're being hit as hard as anybody by the avian flu epidemic. When you enter the McIsaac family dairy and egg farm, you don't go far until you reach the end of the line for visitors.
We're looking at the buildings just beyond the hillside to the left there.
The avian flu is forcing Jessica McIsaac to take biosecurity very seriously. In January of last year, the virus was detected at Sunrise Farms, a large egg producer, forcing the business to euthanize its entire flock, hundreds of thousands of birds, to keep it from spreading across Sonoma County.
As both a poultry producer and a dairy farmer, having the bird flu be present in California, it's very stressful on a daily basis. Very stressful to keep our animals healthy and to keep our business viable.
But it's the price of eggs that has everyone talking. A supermarket in Petaluma was selling a dozen eggs for more than $10. At Mac's Deli and Cafe in Santa Rosa, customers are still ordering egg dishes despite a $2 surcharge on each order.
Eggs are really important. We go through a lot of eggs. They're usually $46 a case, and right now they're $146 a case. So we're spending about $4,000 on eggs alone every month.
You have to kind of adapt to the situation. I don't really understand, I guess, why people would be so angry about something that the restaurants didn't have any control over.
But Jessica says they don't have much control either. With the huge decrease in the laying hen population nationwide, egg producers are also paying much higher prices for everything, including replacement stock. Supply has dropped, but demand hasn't, and it's having an effect on all aspects of the food chain. So what can be done? The USDA just unveiled a 5-point plan that includes more money for biosecurity, cutting regulations on egg production and raising of backyard chickens, and temporarily importing 70 to 100 million eggs from foreign sources. But missing from the list is any plan for a vaccine. Chickens are currently being vaccinated in Mexico, but Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins says the federal government wants more study into it.
It isn't a proven vaccine yet, and so I was hesitant in rolling anything out that would require more vaccinations without understanding first exactly would it solve the problem. So instead, we're going to put some significant funding into researching how we get to that point.
But Jessica thinks biosecurity can only go so far when the virus can be spread by wild birds flying overhead.
The problem isn't caused on the farm. Farmers have figured out where the disease comes from, so I feel the only way that we're going to see a change is if a vaccine is implemented.
So far, bird flu has not made the big jump to the human population, but the public is certainly seeing its impact on a daily basis. And those who produce eggs in the North Bay feel like they're on the front lines of a battle with few weapons to fight it.
The egg farmer there says there is a misconception that local eggs can only be purchased at farmers markets and roadside stands. But she says nearly all of the Petaluma producers, big or small, sell their eggs to grocery stores and supermarkets in the area. A popular downtown street in San Jose has now been turned into a permanent pedestrian mall. Post Street had been closed off to cars since the pandemic, but the city council voted on Tuesday to shut down traffic for good. Mayor Matt Mahan says this new mall area represents a shift in momentum for the city.
It represents a change in reputation and a change in mindset for the Bay Area's largest city. We've sometimes been overshadowed by our smaller neighbor to the north when it comes to nightlife and activation. But the era of San Jose being the less cool cousin to the south is over.
The shopping area includes clothing stores, a hair salon, and a cocktail bar. Environmentalists are speaking out on a proposal to build a distribution warehouse on San Bruno Mountain. The developer says it will add jobs and help the local economy. But as our Brian Hackney shows us, there are concerns a warehouse could have a negative impact on rare and endangered plant species.
San Bruno Mountain, towering 1,300 feet above SFO, surrounded by so much industry, it's written on its face. But now one of those businesses is going away. And if developers have their way, this quarry, in operation since 1895, will become a 1.3 million square foot distribution warehouse.
It was shock seeing the scale of the development when it was rendered.
Ariel Sherbowski is with San Bruno Mountain Watch.
We're at the Mission Blue Center here in the quaint city of Brisbane, and directly across from the San Bruno Mountain Quarry and some of the most beautiful canyons on San Bruno Mountain, like Buckeye and Owl Canyon directly across the valley.
Cow parsnip. Doug Allshouse and writing partner Dr. David Nelson wrote the book on San Bruno Mountain and have told us all about it before.
And there are some rare plants there that don't exist anywhere in the world except right here in San Bruno Mountain.
It's a home for over a dozen rare and endangered species, including 3 endangered butterflies.
Paintbrush. Paintbrush. Oh, there's some seaside daisy over there.
Yeah. Most of us only see the mountain in the distance or from the air.
But the best way to see it is with your own 2 feet on the mountain.
Tara Friedman is with the Mountain Butterfly Collective.
I was absolutely alarmed and just astonished how huge of operation they want to do.
The apparent plan is for a 100-foot tall building at the foot of the quarry, a warehouse to feed our 21st century appetite for home delivery.
They want to take this road and double it, remove all these trees. It will ruin the environment for all these plants, animals, creatures, and also people's enjoyment of the beautiful San Bruno Mountain that tons of people go walk up.
That's the environmentalist take. The developers, Orchard Partners, didn't want to go on camera, but sent a statement reading in part that the project provides long-term economic benefits to the city and permanently protects habitat for important species on San Bruno Mountain, and that it will create approximately 560 construction jobs and up to 1,500 operational jobs. At the moment, the city is mulling over the proposal and taking public comment.
And there's definitely a need for warehouses in the Bay, but in the heart of San Bruno Mountain, there's no need for this massive warehouse right here.
And Tara thinks that after more than a century of industrial use, it's time to reclaim San Bruno Mountain.
This mountain, this is all we have. This is all that's left. They should really leave it alone.
A vote is still pretty far off on this matter. The public comment period on the environmental impact report for the project generated nearly 400 pages of feedback. The city is going to evaluate those comments and then prepare a final report that will be considered by the city council, which will ultimately approve or deny the project. Coming up next, we are going to introduce you to a man who used music to discover his roots and how he's trying to take people in Marin County on a similar journey.
We want people to see where the source of like a lot of the music that we hear today come from.
Have more unsettled weather in the forecast as we head into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, too. It'll start to taper off as we head into late next week, but this does lead up into the next 6 to 10 days. Our rainfall outlook issued by the Climate Prediction Center highlights the whole West Coast with wetter than normal conditions forecasted for us. So as we take a look at the next 7 days, this paints the picture pretty well. I mean, above average conditions today, cool conditions into this weekend, and those rain clouds start to roll in from offshore Saturday evening into Sunday morning. As we head into next week, Monday and Tuesday will look very similar with on and off showers expected. I'll keep you updated with those rainfall totals, but for now, I'm going to send it over to you.
Well, this Black History Month, some local musicians say they are finding more opportunities at various venues to share their work and their stories. Kenny Choi introduces us to one musician who has discovered more about his roots and family history while pursuing his passion.
Growing up in a rural part of Tennessee, Keenan Webster would listen to gospel music at church and hear the influence of West African sounds of music.
I felt like I knew these vibes from some time, some other lifetime.
He didn't have the opportunities to play music until well into his 20s. After decades of pursuing his passion, he can now play the kora, the West African Mandinka harp. A recent DNA family history test also showed Webster's ancestors hailed from the Mandinka and the Mande-speaking people of West Africa.
Spiritually, it just made sense to why I gravitated to these instruments, the sound of them.
Webster is playing at public libraries in Marin County as part of Black History Month. Grammy-nominated musician Andre Thierry has performed as part of its program, the library says, to uplift underrepresented voices.
We want people to see where the source of a lot of the music that we hear today come from.
The sounds today connect him with the past.
But we was able to use that songs to help us through the pain that they was going through with slavery and hardships and just for hope.
The 53-year-old also incorporates the banjo into his musical repertoire, blending the influence of blues and jazz he heard and played in his early years. Webster still can't believe he can play music for a living.
I think it helps people to have more respect for other people's culture too as well.
It's what he has always wanted to do, to share and connect with others through the power of words and music.
Well, you can find more of our stories celebrating Black History Month on our website, kpix.com. A Northern California man won $100,000 this week on the 10,000th episode of The Price is Right. I love it. He's a single father from Sacramento. He and his 8-year-old son have made watching the show part of their morning routine.
I got to win a life-changing amount of money for me and my son. And, you know, really, it kind of makes me cry a little bit still. You saw me really emotional because, this times right now are really rough for a lot of people.
Well, Ryan says it feels like the stars were aligned for him. 21 years ago, he was an audience member on The Price is Right for his 21st birthday. This time around, he left as not just a contestant, but a winner, a big one at that. Coming up, we're going to meet the Bay Area icon who is literally sowing the seeds of hope for those looking to break the cycle of homelessness.
I want people to feel like they're valuable, they're worth something, and they have a future.
Never give up, baby.
Once we head into the next couple days, we're seeing a very big shift in the forecast. Temperatures are going to drop right back down to the 50s and 60s heading into this weekend as a new cold front moves in from offshore. Friday will just be partly cloudy. Once we head into our Saturday and Sunday forecast, that's when we start to see rain move in from offshore just along the bay, pushing its way inland up into the Sierra too. And at that exact same time, we see unsettled weather into Sunday and Monday's forecast and lasting into mid next week. So on and off showers are forecasted for us throughout this weekend, early next week too, and that matches up with what the Climate Prediction Center has to say, showing wetter than normal conditions for the next 6 to 10 days. I'm going to drop the map real fast and show you the next couple days. Notice how our mid 70s quickly turn into upper 50s as early as Saturday for us here in the Bay Area. We're talking about San Francisco and Oakland as good examples of that. Low 60s will return back and forth. They're kind of flirting back and forth with each other heading into next Tuesday and Wednesday, and you make your way all the way into our inland spots, we're seeing a very similar trend. So 2 big weather stories for us right now. Warm, above average, at least right now, and then once we head into this weekend, cool, cloudy, and wet. And that lingers into next week's forecast. So we're going to keep you updated with those rainfall totals as we get closer to next week. The rain looks like it's going to start as early as Saturday night, so I'll have more on that just in a bit.
More than 2,000 people in San Mateo County are dealing with homelessness. According to the city's annual count, that is an 18% increase over the last few years. Well, now a Coastside nonprofit founder is working to bring those numbers down. Eric DeBode helps people find meaning in their lives through the power of working and serving others. Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's Icon Award winner.
And Curtis said we're shooting for 1 seed in each cell.
As people learn how to plant seeds to grow lettuce, Eric DeBode is sowing seeds of hope in their lives.
Each person is so interesting, so resilient, so strong, so full of potential.
Eric helps people living with homelessness get back on their feet through Abundant Grace Coastside Worker, the nonprofit he started 10 years ago in Half Moon Bay.
I want people to feel like they're valuable, they're worth something, and they have a future.
Eric's nonprofit partners with Potrero Nuevo Farm south of Half Moon Bay in a workforce development program. Unsheltered folks learn how to plant, tend, and harvest fruits and vegetables. What they grow, they give away. They gave 13,000 pounds of organic produce last year to 300 people in need.
I'm just going to set these here for now, and we'll just gather.
Curtis Kuchavla says serving others gives him a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in a long time.
That gives you a reason to be proud, and then working here on the farm, growing vegetables, and being able to give that to other folks, it helps a lot.
Eric helps about 125 unhoused people a year rake in a sense of self-confidence and community. While some work on the farm, others do coastal cleanups. They earn a stipend for their 4-day work week, and they gain experience that's helped a dozen people last year land jobs outside the nonprofit. Eric also supplies a home base that includes showers, laundry, kitchen, food, clothing, and support for much more.
Everyone's on a journey of healing and wholeness with their life, whether that's around housing, employment, sobriety, mental and physical health. Those are all the issues that are on the table here.
Some people that are...
Curtis says his whole life has changed. He was living in his car, and then Eric came alongside and helped him find work, housing, and hope.
I'm grateful to him because he saved my life. I was about ready to throw the towel, and because I had nowhere to go.
Potrero Nuevo Farm manager Susie Trexler says Eric and Abundant Grace nurture folks with the supportive soil they need to bloom.
He just wants to help people succeed and grow and love themselves, and so he loves people unconditionally, and it's a beautiful thing that is really rare to see in action.
It makes me really happy, particularly when people find housing or a job or get sober, because they're really making an important change for their health and their well-being.
So for giving San Mateo County's unhoused community work and support through Abundant Grace Coastside Worker, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to Eric DeBode.
Such great work. Eric says Abundant Grace Coastside Worker is funded by grants, donations, and some funds from the county. In another one of its work programs, Coastside Cleanup, they pick up 140,000 pounds of trash every year. You can nominate a local hero for a CBS News Bay Area Icon Award on our website, kpix.com/icon. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your first alert forecast and another look at your top stories.